I tried to stream it once before, but I never quite. I think I chickened out a few times each time, but this time I'm going to try and hopefully get to the end of it. I have finished this game. I've completely 100%ed it. Obviously, this is a PS5 version, so I haven't got all the trophies, but I've got some. So any you see popping, it will be because I got so far into the game and then gave up. So for those who don't know, this is a sort of a well, it was a Skyrim mod, and it's a delightful little. It's like a digital escape room, and it's really. I really love this game. Obviously, as you can see on the thing there, they do say avoid spoilers. So I'll probably do it here, and I'll definitely do it when we get to the point from where they're talking about, because I know what they're talking about. But I'll do it now. If you generally don't want anything in this game spoiled, because to be quite frank, I think going into this blind is a really good idea. So if you've never played or seen this game and you want to experience it for yourself, I would advise you to go and play the game by yourself, because I'll be doing a lot of stuff that I already know what I'm doing, and hopefully I think I'm going to aim for the completely good ending and get everyone, you'll see. But yeah, I'll do a spoiler warning here, and I'll say if you do not want this game spoiled for you, back out now, come back when you've played the game. Otherwise, off we go. So as you can see, it looks very Roman. Core team of 3 people. 3 people. I mean, I don't know if they're doing anything, I don't know if they've got anything upcoming. I kind of hope they do. I'm not going to show all the multiple endings off, I'm just going to show the best ending that I can get, provided I don't screw anything up. Which I'm probably going to try not to.
Hey, you're alive.
Hey. I'm
when
awake.
I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never going to wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, a phone, maybe. I hope you don't mind. But all I found was some loose change. So, wanna tell me who you are?
Dennis. So male, female, which is kind of interesting with 2 sides of the coin. Fairly pasty, unfortunately. Name. I don't think the NPCs ever actually say your name.
It's nice to meet you.
I think it's just whenever you talk to someone and introduce yourself, you will say your full name.
Any idea why you were floating down the river? What's the last thing you remember?
Drunk. So here's the class choices. Now these don't really do a lot. Obviously I'll go through them. So I was searching for ancient ruins, so you get to choose the archaeologist class, which gives you an occasional insight into the ancient world. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this again is I've recently watched again Monty Zander's critique of this game, and he's like, the archaeology class doesn't do a lot. I don't know, I'm going to give it a go anyway, because archaeology is awesome. Soldier, so this is the only one where you get a gun, and for one of the trophies and one of the endings, you will need to pick this class. Any trophy guide or any walkthrough thing you look for will say, if you want to get most of them done in one go, pick this class. I'm not going to, because I don't want to do that one. And to be fair, the gun's pretty useless anyway. You don't get to really use it on anything, because you only get 10 bullets, and then after that you can't get any more. So, whereas something else we'll get later on will be a lot more useful. Faster when sprinting. I may do that one, to be fair, because I may need to run quickly. And this is where you just get better health. So it's like some insight, a gun, run faster, survive being beaten up a lot more.
Oh, you're an archaeologist?
Well, yes.
Then you'll definitely want to hear this. I don't know if it's exactly what you're looking for, but there are some ruins just behind you. Roman.
Some ruins?
I need you to go in there and see if you can find a guy named Al for me. He went in there a few hours ago, and he hasn't come out. I've been freaking out, wondering if he's trapped, or injured, or worse. I would have gone in after him, but he made me promise to stay here, no matter what. There's no way I'm leaving without him, so I'm just kind of stuck here, waiting. What I mean is, I was hoping you wouldn't mind going in there to find him? If you can do that, I can get both of you back to civilization in my boat. Please?
Really? Mind if I ask some questions first?
Of course. Sorry, I don't mean to be pushy.
I'm also looking into these things I found. Monty Bojangles, Chocky Scoffy, like truffle things. Really nice.
Oh, there's not much to tell. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Know what I mean? Oh, I'd rather not say if it's all the same to you.
I'd really like to know, especially if I'm going to be helping you. Why don't you just tell me? Never mind, I don't care that much. I'll be on.
Alright, fine. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
Oh, thanks. All those Karen memes have really ruined that name.
You're welcome. Always happy to help. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? He's the guy who washed up on the riverbank not long before you did. I thought maybe you two knew each other. I guess not. But
no.
Maybe the two of you can piece together what you're doing here. In any case, you'll like him, I'm sure. Once you find him, that is.
I'm sure I will once I find him.
You really don't remember? We're in Italy. This river is the Tiber.
Oh, the Tibor.
Not much, really. But imagine what you might find in there. Priceless ancient artifacts. Al...
Kinda want you to go and find Al.
What am I, an idiot? You could hike a long, long way in any direction and never find another soul. Trust me.
Alright.
Great. So you're ready to go look for Al? Thank you. The entrance is just past those columns behind you. Please, hurry. Oh, and he left this here. But I think you'll need it more than I will.
Ooh, that's right. Quid pro quo, Charon. I mean, I will say for a Skyrim mod, it looks really, really nice. I mean, they look scaled at PS5, obviously, but... A backpack full of worn hiking clothes and empty food packets. Nothing valuable here, but still, it seems strange that I left it behind.
If you're reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground. Its existence is long forgotten, all knowledge of it lost, except in the Latin inscription here. It reads, "You who wish to enter the city, step forth and be judged. The virtuous shall be rewarded with eternal life in paradise. The wicked shall find themselves showered in gold, but in vain, for this shall be their final resting place." Could an underground city have remained a secret for all this time? Could people have survived down there, against the odds? It seems there's only one way to find out. If I'm not back in an hour, I'm somewhere on the other side. Consider this an invitation. Or a warning. Al Worth.
Yep. Well, it does indeed say that there. Oh. Apparently we do not need oxygen. Ooh, isn't it nice? That many shall suffer for the sins of the one. It's supposed to be that you should be able to read stuff, but apparently not. Ooh. There's a lot of statues. Ooh. Scrambling away from what exactly? Oh. Well, we found out.
To whoever reads this, I'm sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, that you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place, going around and around in circles, searching for a way out. The inscription was right. There is no way back. In here, there are only two options: death, or that godforsaken doorway into the past. I made the mistake of stepping through it. I wanted to set things right, and I tried. I really tried. Whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. Don't make the same mistake. Better to end it all now, and find out what awaits you beyond that portal.
Portal, eh? Will I be playing with portals? Yeah, sort of. Sort of not. Because I felt like it. Because I am a soothsayer. Ooh. Interesting. It's a TARDIS hole. Oh, or a Stargate. That so looks like the Stargate, like a souped up version of the Stargate transportation thing. Everything looks so shiny. We damn did a time travel.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
I got lost. Shrine of Proserpina?
Yeah, you know, agricultural goddess of springtime? You're not from around here, are you? Oh,
No.
I see what you did there. Changing the subject like that. Nice try. But I'll ask again. Who are you, and what were you doing in the shrine?
I got lost.
Is that right? Well, just make sure you don't get lost in any other sacred places you're not supposed to be. Can't have you disrespecting the gods by accident, can we now?
Oh,
But
no.
listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So let me make this nice and simple for you. Live by our law here, and we'll all get along just fine.
We'll all get along.
Not laws, law. There's just one, the golden rule, and the punishment for breaking
Follow the golden rule.
well, it's kind of horrific.
Every
But
time I
our
hear that
magistrate
phrase, I
insists
just
we
think
take
of that
all
one song
newcomers to
from
see him,
Twisted.
so I guess I'll let him fill you in. So then, you coming? Follow me. When I first arrived,
Lead
I
the
couldn't
way,
believe
man who
there
is
were people
somehow
living
taller than
down
me
here.
temporarily.
But as you can see, we've got a nice little community now.
Oh yes, nice little
Only
community.
23 of us at the moment, if you count the 3 who are missing. No idea how, since nobody knows a way out. But it's just big and dark enough to get lost in, if you're not careful.
Aren't you going to introduce me to your handsome new friend, Galerius?
Keep it in your
No.
loincloth, Aurelia. I'm taking him to see the magistrate.
That pompous old bore won't be magistrate for much longer. Anyone who helps vote him out today drinks at my bar for free tonight.
Politics. I'd stay clear of it, and her,
Right.
if I were you. She's... it's not my place to say. Down on your right is our farm, where I grow all the food you'll ever want. As long as all you want is leek, cabbage, and wheat. Huh. That one usually gets a chuckle.
The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone.
Don't mind Livia. She means well. She's just been in a bad place since... Well, you know, I don't know what happened to her. Up here on your right is the chasm. If you've got a weapon, it belongs way down at the bottom. Up on your left is the forum, where you can visit the market or get yourself patched up in Lucretia's clinic in the Shrine of Apollo. Most of us have almost nothing, just what we had on us when we arrived, and what we've been able to make and scrounge up since. And this central plateau is where the magistrate and the other
Take a heat on
patricians
the
live.
statues.
So don't expect a warm welcome.
Hilarious. You're meant to be working the farm, not trudging dirt into the villas.
Take it easy, Horatius. I was just taking our new friend here to see the magistrate.
Well, he's asked me to escort the newcomer personally. The farm. Go. Now.
You'd better go with him. But just remember, they're not like you and me. Don't let them use you.
What was that? What did you just say?
I said it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I'm watching you, farm boy. Greetings, citizen. My name's Horatius. Magistrate Sentius asked me to escort you to him personally.
What's it like
Follow me,
wearing
please.
paper mache?
I expect the magistrate wants to brief you about the Golden Rule. It shouldn't take too long. He's busy preparing for the election later today. Follow me. The only thing you really need to understand right now is the Golden Rule. Let me see if I can explain it this way. When I was serving in the Legion, if there was a mutiny brewing in one cohort, the legate in charge wouldn't waste time finding the bad apples among hundreds. They just divided us into groups of 10, made us draw straws,
Decimation.
and whoever drew the short straw had to be executed by the other 9. Didn't matter whether he'd done anything wrong. One of us in 10 would die for the crimes of the collective. We call it decimation. If that seems like rough justice to you, you're in for a rude shock. Because the Golden Rule is exactly 10 times worse. The
It really
magistrate
is.
can explain the rest. Who's up these stairs?
Hold on a
What
minute.
now? I'm a legionary of the 1st Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act
Bootlicker.
as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Daughter, I
I
should
mean,
say.
yes.
And the others, and making sure they're all behaving. I also keep a register of new arrivals. I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing alright for myself. 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over. Not anymore. She's probably figured I'm long gone and moved on by now. I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl. And pick up a little pendant from a silversmith. That's when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some Genetricum Fugitor tried to take advantage of the chaos and pinch my pendant. I remember chasing him through the crowds, down towards the river. And then, nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But I'm fortunate to be alive, I suppose. Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body. That said, Scintilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit. He's one of the better commanders I've ever had, that's for sure. Good stoic. Lives by Seneca's words. Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Can't ask for much more than that. I went around asking the same questions when I first arrived. Never did find a way out. But I learned how to accept my situation. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden.
Maybe not. Sorry, the cat is now in front of the TV and I'm just keeping an eye on her, make sure she doesn't jump too far up.
I don't see why not.
Come on down, Mark.
Just make sure I get it back by tomorrow.
That's it. Sometimes I worry when they explore.
Of course. Well, as I always say, it's kind of like a divine version of the practice of decimation in the Legion. By threatening to execute 1 in 10 men, the idea is to ensure order and discipline among everyone. And it works. If you knew you could be executed because your brother-in-arms is planning a mutiny, well, you'd bloody well watch him like 100-eyed Argus, wouldn't you? Because your only chance of saving yourself is to stop bad things before they happen.
Stop the wars before it happens.
Responsible for keeping each other in check. It's brutal, of course, but effective. The Legion wouldn't be the most formidable force in the world without it.
Are you saying you're in favour of it?
What's done is done. I was forced to execute my brothers-in-arms, and those memories will always visit me in my sleep. But life is harsh, and I've come to accept my lot. As with the Golden Rule, I don't have any control over it. So railing against it would be like trying to stop the seasons or the tides. As Seneca the Younger wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing.
Where I'm from, that could be considered collective punishment, which is a war crime.
War crime? Isn't that a contradiction in terms? As Cicero said, in times of war the law falls silent.
Our worlds are very different.
Seems that way. War crimes. Ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sure the Romans would have done the same
If you
thing.
like. Not that it's any of your business, but my loyalty is and always will be with Sentius. Unfortunately, I don't think my vote is going to make any difference today. See, Domitius has been going around town, shoring up votes for Malleolus with lies, bribery and intimidation. The man's a savage, but he's a gladiator, so people fear and respect him more than they should. Sentius knows about it, of course, but he doesn't have the same rat cunning as Malleolus. This place will be different with that sleaze at the helm. But I try not to worry about things I can't change. I appreciate the thought, but you're new here, and I just can't see how you could make an impact in the time between now and the election this afternoon. In any case,
you'd be surprised.
if you're interested in the election, go and have a chat with Equitia, the Vestal Priestess. She'll be overseeing proceedings. All right?
Oh, don't mind me. I just live here. Oh,
Yeah,
I
we'll
wish
mind you.
Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want? I'm Sentia, eldest daughter of the magistrate.
My
But
arm
you'd
is a
know
bit
that if
disconnected
you'd
from
been
my
invited
shoulder,
in
as you
here
can
and
see.
Introduced properly. What are you doing in here? And why are you dressed like that?
I'm off to a rave.
Really? I'd never have noticed, what with your flawless accent, appropriate attire, and impressive mastery of our customs. Now, remind me, why are we having this conversation?
Because I'm polite and you clearly not.
Ugh, what is it with you people? You heard the rumor that my little sister escaped and figure I must know a way out too. Is that it? Well, that's just a stupid rumor. We have no idea what happened to Scintilla. I wish you mouth breathers would just leave me alone.
You know something, don't you?
I don't know. Can you? Can
Or
you
does
tell
she?
me how a person could have disappeared from a city with no exits and no crime? Was she snatched away by the harpies?
Hey, harpies are not to be taken lightly. Unless you're in God of War, in which case take them lightly and tear their wings off.
It was 3 weeks ago. We ate our evening meal together, and I remember she seemed happy. In love. We went into our rooms, I went to sleep, and when I woke up, she was gone. That's it. I think so, yes. But she was very careful about keeping his identity a secret, even from me.
Why?
Because our father had plans to marry her off.
Ah, yes, of course.
eventually.
Marrying someone for love is
Even a
simply
rumor about
disgusting.
her attachment to some mystery man might have ruined those plans. I don't know, but it's been 3 weeks since she disappeared, and he hasn't come forward. That might speak to a guilty conscience. All I know is, whoever he is, he's still here in the city. You really aren't from here, are you? All Roman women are named after their fathers. I think it's their way of branding us, like cattle to be sold at market. His family name is Sentius, so I'm Sentia because I'm the eldest. And my little sister is formerly Sentia Minor, but she is affectionately known as Scintilla.
Something to do with what's it called?
Why? Because I'm on this couch and not pacing about the villa, wasting energy. I hope you're
Something
not
to do with if you
insinuating
adopt
I'm somehow
names. Well,
pleased with her
something
disappearance.
that the Roman emperor did. Just
If you
observation.
must know, I'm here because my father has forbidden
Something
me
like-
from leaving the villa.
I think in this
couldn't
case he's
bear
right,
to
it's
use
something to do
you
with branding,
too,
but
he says, as if he
it
loves
also
me,
means you
and not because
instill
he
their
needs at least
virtues.
one daughter he can trade off. So you'll help me find her? Oh, thank you. You should probably take a look through her room. It's the one just by the front door. Maybe you'll find something the rest of us missed.
Maybe.
Thanks. I'd appreciate it. You know, some people say it's the creation of an all-seeing God who's watching everything we do. But what kind of an awful, incompetent God would let my sister go missing on his or her watch?
Fair question.
Did you hear that? Curse you, you coward! Where is my sister? What do you have to say for yourself? No response. Nothing. That's what I thought. I'm telling you, this mysterious god of ours has to be asleep on the job. Either that, or, like people are saying, it really is just a children's fable my father is exploiting to frighten us into behaving. I suppose we will. Of course. What have you discovered? Yes, please do.
Well, let's go talk to the big man himself. Oi, Jesus.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name? A curious name to match a curious accent. But I digress.
I see you have the piercing and astute eyes of a man of great learning. We're always happy to welcome another scholar to our little community. Equitia will be delighted to meet you, I'm sure. Now, you're probably wondering why I summoned you, and I'll get to that. But first, take a look at this wondrous place, would you? A secret city built deep in the mountains, many hundreds of years ago. Indeed.
Yeah,
More importantly, consider the miraculous community we've built here over the last 7 months. 22 complete strangers brought together by the fates, living and working together in our own little paradise. And in all that time, not a single sin has been committed. No fights, no theft, nothing. Have you ever witnessed something so extraordinary as a city without sin?
Nope.
Nor could I until I came here. But the reason for this miracle is as simple as it is terrifying. If even one person commits a sin here, every last one of us will die. You see, the builders of this place, whoever they were, left inscriptions warning, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." From what we can gather, breaking the law here will anger the gods and provoke a terrible
By
punishment.
Jupiter.
Like the curses of Medusa and Midas combined, turning us all to gold. We've come to call it the Golden Rule. It's extraordinary that we've survived as long as we have, and each day I grow more and more afraid that our time in the sun is almost up. And now it seems that day is finally here. All that matters is that somebody in this city is about to break the Golden Rule. Why else would Proserpina send you now? Unless you and I can stop them, our doom is assured. I know that's a lot to take in, and you look like you have questions. Please, ask away. An intelligent question. There was a good deal of debate about that in our first weeks here. Does it refer to crimes, or to some other ill-defined wrong? Of course, everyone agrees on the basics. No theft, no assault, and certainly no murder. But beyond that, it was more difficult to reach a consensus. What about lying, insulting someone, blasphemy, trespass, trying to escape, bribery, infidelity, suicide? As magistrate, I had to exercise leadership, and so I made a decision. We must uphold the laws of the Empire to a standard never before seen. And we must honor the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. It is only by offering the gods the proper respect that we may prosper, as Rome has for centuries. I'm glad you agree. The key things to remember are that we have laws forbidding treason and blasphemy, murder, assault, and rape, as well as theft and arson and so on. I have made my pronouncement on the subject. Unfortunately, there are still those here who resist, whispering blasphemous and treasonous lies in the shadows. I would be keeping a close eye on them if I were you. You see, in my search for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual to Proserpina, the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. It's said to open a doorway in time so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the past. And when I saw you arrive in a flash of light from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our time, do you?
You're right, I'm from the future.
That is unfathomable.
I've got a line, but
please tell me, In your time, what did you see? What had become of us? Of this city? I have imagined it, our downfall, 1,000 times. But it still breaks my heart to hear the truth of it. All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions.
Stumbled, yeah, I bet you did.
I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future? I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you?
Yeah, never best.
Well, I suppose that's all I can ask for. Well, I believe you're in the best position to go around asking people questions. You're new here, and it'll seem perfectly normal. As for me, well, it pains me to say my attempts to impose order have not earned me many friends. I fear I may not even remain magistrate after today's election. The people here would only treat my curiosity with suspicion. You shouldn't have that problem, though, unless, of course, you get off on the wrong foot.
Fair enough.
Do you ever stare at a problem for so long that you can't see it for what it is anymore?
A few
What's
times.
needed here is a fresh pair of eyes. The less I prejudice the independence of your investigation, the better. Me? Why would you suspect me? I've just told you, I'm about to sacrifice my own life to ensure these people have a second chance. What reason could you possibly have to suspect me, of all people?
Fair
I'm glad
point.
you think so. Without trust,
That's gonna be a common
without
thing to
each
say.
other,
Fair point.
we won't be able to prevent what is about to happen. Ah, so you know about that already.
Yeah.
It's a devastating loss, of course, but that was over 3 weeks ago, and whatever happened to her, it didn't break the Golden Rule, so I don't think it's connected with our imminent demise. Still,
Delayed
if you
reaction?
happen to find her and return her to me, I would be eternally grateful. If I understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain. If you manage to prevent the sin that breaks the Golden Rule, I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come here. Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own
paradox.
time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense? Ah, good. So, are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the Golden Rule? Wonderful. Now, I need you to investigate the city, talk to everyone, help them if it'll win their trust. I authorize you to enter private homes and inspect possessions and documents,
Break in
unless, of
wherever
course,
you
you're
want
asked to
to.
leave. Figure out who the culprit is, and as soon as you have a name, come back and tell me immediately. Oh, and one last thing. If I were you, I'd start my investigation by visiting Lucretia at the Shrine of Apollo in the Forum. I heard wailing from there not long ago. Seems like something's not right.
It's not what I'm going to do first, but that's the thing we can't fix yet. Headbutt the door.
you two talking about? Don't play dumb. I saw you having a shady little chat with old man Sentius up on his balcony. What's
How
he
can you
offering
see? How can you see from there with those
Favours?
tiny little pupil
What's your
holes?
vote worth to him? What? You're throwing your lot in with him for free, then? That's even worse.
That makes it
Mark
worse.
my words, Malleolus is going to be magistrate by the end of the day. And if I tell him you've sided with that feeble old has-been, that you've been trying to undermine his hard-won victory, you'll have picked the wrong patron. Got it? Good. Then stay out of it.
Oh,
Connor.
you got it.
The name's Domitius.
Why you have a potty
You
on
want
your
to get
head?
to Malleolus? You go through me. Too bad. He's busy. Unless... No. You don't look like you could afford it. I'm glad you asked. See, he's a busy man, and this is an important day. He'll be inside practicing his victory speech for tonight. Left me strict instructions he doesn't want to be disturbed. So if you want to see him, I'll need something valuable in return. Bribe? That's such an ugly word. What I'm looking for is more of a tribute to me, your soon-to-be patron.
Alright.
Just make it good. When Malleolus wins the election, yeah, this place will change. You won't even want to leave. You'll see. I think it's gone on long enough, and Malleolus is going to put an end to it once he's elected.
Oh dear.
He's going to announce it in his victory speech. Just you wait and see.
Why can't you tell me now?
Because if I tell you, and it gets out, it'll give old man Sentius a chance to interfere in our plans. And we can't have that.
We'd be getting away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Old man Sentius got you already, did he? Well, I'm not talking to people in his faction. Confituare.
Yeah, whatever you said. Sentius and Malleolus, same excrement, different smell. I thought it was going to say sitting in a tree. Oh, hello. Is
Your best behaviour, I
That's
trust.
gracious. No.
A new faith. Ave, and may Vesta watch
Ave.
over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite
You look a
charming
little
in its own
strange.
way.
I don't know if it's the
Usually,
lighting or what it
however,
is,
you
but
wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?"
sorry, what should I have
The
done?
proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest,
but I'm too direct.
I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change. You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here?
Magic. A woman named Karen dragged me in from river unconscious and sent me near.
Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you?
Why no, I meant to be stupid.
Older. I see. I wonder if... No. I apologize. I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking.
Dangerous,
Have
that.
you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember and see if you notice any patterns.
Alright.
Thank you. But please be careful. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you too. Thank you. Now, Go and follow the thread of truth through this labyrinth, and come back to me if you discover any patterns. I don't, I'm afraid. It seems to me we're exiled here until the gods judge us, one way or another. I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the gods. We ask for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return, we offer praise, wine, incense, or animals. But here, it seems they require much more of us. I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great poet Ovid in his epic Metamorphoses. Would you like to hear it? It is rather long. Wonderful. It goes like this. Baucis and Philemon were an old married couple living a humble life in a small town. One night, the town gets a visit from a couple of vagrants. They go from door to door, asking for a place to stay the night. Of course, being vagrants, they're turned away sharply from house after house, 1,000 in all, until finally they come to the little cottage where Baucis and Philemon lived. Now the kind old couple had very little to offer, but nevertheless, they invite these strangers into their house and offer them food, wine, and a place to stay. Immediately the guests make themselves at home. They begin gulping down the old couple's wine, so much so that Baucis, the old lady, begins to worry they're going to run out. And then she notices something strange. Her wine pitcher keeps refilling itself, as if by magic. Realizing only a select few possess such powers,
that was Bacchus.
says to her husband, Philemon, I think these men
Or
are
Dionysus
gods
for the
in
Greek
disguise."
variant.
Immediately the couple begins apologizing for offering such coarse wine, and the vagrants metamorphosize and reveal themselves to be Jupiter, the king
Jupiter
of the
Mercury.
gods, and
But
Mercury, the trickster god. They
Jupiter would
they
make
didn't mind
sense.
the meager
Could Mercury?
offerings. They were just pleased
I don't
that
know,
someone
maybe.
in the town offered
I
them
have to admit, I'm not
hospitality.
sure
Then
how
Jupiter
different
says to them,
the Roman,
"You have passed our test,
the Roman gods
but
were to the
everyone else
Greeks,
in
apart
this
from
city
the
failed,
names
so we are
and
going
some
to
of the jobs.
destroy
I just
this
don't know if they were
place
granted
and
anything
everyone
extra.
in it, except you, who we will grant a wish." So old Baucis and Philemon escape up into the mountains safely, and they receive their wish, which is for eternity together. Meanwhile, Jupiter carries through with his threat and wipes that city off the map.
Does
Some
sound
say
about
the moral of
the
that
same
story
thing that
is
Zeus
that
would
we
do.
must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to
Yeah,
think
because that was the
it's
thing,
that we
wasn't
should
it? Was it
always show
something
compassion
like it was
for
again
those
Grecian
less
thing,
fortunate
but the
than
Romans
ourselves.
did it as well, or probably.
I'm pleased to hear it.
It's
It
like
must
you've
be completed by dusk, just the same as any
what is it?
other official
A guest
business.
must be treated
It'll
with
be
the utmost
between
respect. Any
Sentius,
level of
the
disrespect
incumbent,
labelled at a
and
guest is like
Malleolus,
a
the
sin.
challenger. Why do you ask? All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course. Well, you're not a citizen yet, so no, I'm afraid not. But if it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election. By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course. I'm responsible for announcing it and making sure the procedures are followed. All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running. That's just the way it's always been, I'm afraid. It never sat right with me, either. There are some women who can vote, Vestal priestesses like myself, but in this case, given my role overseeing the election, I've decided to abstain. I can't allow the perception that I'm being anything but fair and independent, but if it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election. Certainly. Come back to
Are
me
we going
once
now?
you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our neighbours.
No, you won't. Shut up. got stuff to do. It should be. Maybe not a real person there somewhere. Yeah, so there are some chests you can steal from me. You won't get done for it. Ooh. City in a giant chasm.
Isn't this temple imposing? Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. Welcome to life under the Golden Rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring so far? Ah, another stoic, perhaps. We all need something to help us through times like these. We've all been where you are now. I remember when I first arrived. I used to lay awake at night contemplating the big questions. Why am I here? Is there a way out? What is the Golden Rule, and who or what is responsible for it? I still don't have any of the answers, I'm afraid. I don't think anybody does. But I'm happy to share with you what I've learned. Here, in this place, the magistrate has me earning my keep by cleaning and pruning the gardens. It's not quite how I expected my life to go. I used to live in a lovely villa on the banks of the Tiiiime. I was even betrothed to a handsome young man from a prominent family. But long hours of menial labour for the good of the community has its own charms too, I suppose. Oh, much the same way as many of the others. When the fires came to Rome 7 months ago, my family and I fled for the Tiiiime, hoping to escape on a barge. We were among the fortunate ones with enough coins for passage, but unfortunately, there were a lot of desperate people, and they boarded before we could depart. A scuffle broke out, and I was pushed overboard. The last thing I remember was the water, rising up to hit my cheekbone. I woke up by the river, near that shrine, and stumbled across this place. Oh, that's all right. I'm sure it's all part of God's plan for me.
Ah.
Oh yes, of course. A slip of the tongue. If you like.
No, she's Christian.
I'm afraid not. Although, I did once hear someone gossiping down at Aurelia's tavern about a possible way out. I don't put a lot of stock in such rumours, but if you're desperate and wealthy, you could look into it, I suppose. If that doesn't work, then I suppose we're all stuck here until the gods, decide our fate. I hope it works out. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. I think about those words a lot. I'd like to think that if we all love our neighbours as ourselves and do to them as we'd have them do to us, then we'll all be fine. But on the other hand, I was always taught the intent of man's heart is evil from his youth, and that all of us are born with a tendency towards sin. And that's where I get stuck. Is it true? Are we born with a tendency towards sin? You don't think that's a little naive?
No, I don't think we're...
what I've seen. Innocent men and women, torn apart in arenas while thousands of Romans look on and cheer. If that's true, then sooner or later, things are going to end badly for all of us.
I don't know, I think... Stanley used to say, I think all people are basically good.
Divine intervention? I wish I shared your faith.
So?
Please keep that to yourself. I know you're not from around here, but things are very difficult for us right now. There was a terrible fire in Rome last year, and our emperor decided to make us his scapegoats.
Ah, so this is Nero
There
then.
were executions. It was horrible. Oh, thank you. You have no idea how much I appreciate it.
I'm not going to dob you in, love.
All right, well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming months. And if you ever...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
What?
Oh, no. No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your balance, you'll fall.
That's the idea.
What? Why? Why would you want that?
Why do you think I'm stuck for the rest of my life working for a man who treats me like an animal?
I know things are hard for you right now. They're hard for all of us. We're all in this together, Ulpius. Please, please just think this through. If you do this, it could be the sin that seals all of our fates. Is that what you want?
I'm sorry, but I just don't care anymore.
Please, Ulpius. Help him. If he goes through with it, it could be the end for us all. I don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with this sort of thing. Please, you need to talk to him.
I'll do my best.
Thank you. And please, choose your words carefully.
Oi! Go on then, go ahead.
Let me guess. You're going to lecture me on how suicide is a crime against the Empire. I screwed up my life. That's what's wrong. I borrowed money, and when I couldn't pay it back, I wound up in debt bondage. I'll be stuck slaving away for that Culus Cumulatis Malleolus for the rest of my life. I'm out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love. I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no!
I'm an assassin! Now, there's nothing you can actually do to stop him at this point.
Oh, Lord. That poor lamb. That was not your fault. There's no way you could have given him what he wanted, moments after you arrived. Well, I suppose it means suicide isn't a sin under the Golden Rule. So I guess that means whichever god is responsible for it. It isn't mine.
No, yeah.
I'll have to let everyone know what happened. And I guess Malleolus will have to clean up the mess in his villa. It's of his own making, after all. And I'd best pray for poor Ulpius.
See, now, I did this purely for the hell of it. I didn't listen to the voice or anything. I think I had the subtitles on, so I didn't hear the voice anyway. Whee!
Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Yes, thank you.
Hello, I'd broke into your house.
Leap into my villa from the balcony 100 feet above? That
assassin.
was either extremely reckless or impressively clever. Well,
sometimes it's very easy, the two are often confused.
I'm Malleolus, and if it wasn't for this interruption, I'd be practicing my victory speech for the election later today.
Oh, Babby, did I interrupt you?
I'm glad you asked. I'll finally restore freedom to this city, just as I've been promised. These good
I'm going to build a
people
wall.
have suffered long enough under Sentius's tyranny.
My eyebrows tell you I'm a douche.
By declaring there's no such thing
I have
as
douche
the
brows.
Golden Rule. It's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission. Wait, don't tell me you've fallen victim to that monstrous lie?
No. Pretty sure it's real.
Why? What credible evidence do you have for its existence?
Magic. What would it take to prove it's real?
You're not one of those people who believes everything you read. As if a lie could be transformed into the truth by
But you're expecting everyone to believe what you read, or what you say. I can see nothing's going to convince you.
But that is simply because you are mistaken.
No, it's something I could shoot you in the face with something, and then I'll probably do it.
I'm afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the best of it. You mean the children's fable exploited by Sentius to scare us all into doing what he wants? I trust you can see yourself out. Through the door this time? There's a key just beside it.
I was planning to jump straight up it through the ceiling again. Yoink. What we're also going to do, before we do anything else...
Elected your magistrate. Magistrate. Yes, thank you.
Hello! Oh, sorry, the door's in my face, love.
I'm not supposed to be in here.
Oh, I'm just peeking from the door like, hello.
Talk. What business could you possibly have with me?
Well, none.
My marital affairs are no concern of yours. Thank you very much.
Oh dear.
I think a better question is, why am I being interrogated by a stranger who just barged into my villa? I have quite enough marriage trouble already, without having to explain to my husband why I am receiving strange men in private.
What I was going to do, beat you some more? Because that's clearly what's going on.
The way you came in, by which I mean, please leave.
Yes.
I think it's about to be broken if you don't hurry up and leave.
Sodgy them.
Finally! This is outrageous.
Truly, truly outrageous. It's alright. She'll get some convincing soon. Anyway. Smash.
Give me a moment. Sorry I'm such a mess. I just lost a patient and a dear friend. Yulia. She was a good woman. She was poisoned. She came in here frothing at the mouth. Normally I'd treat her with resin of silphium, a rare plant which is perfect for this sort of thing. And I knew Decius had some at his market stall, right around the corner. So I ran over there, but he just looks at me with this evil smile and says, "That'll be 1,000 denarii." There was no way I could afford that, and he knew it. Then that toad shrugs and says, "Supply and demand. I guess you don't value your friend's life that highly." Anywhere else, I'd just pay a thug to steal it from his stall. But there's no way I can do that down here, with the golden rule. So all I could do is come back here and just watch her die. I kept on apologizing. And now I'll never know who poisoned her, or how they managed to do it without breaking the golden rule, or why she cursed that snake's cruel black eyes with her dying breath. Well, unless you have the power to bring someone back from the dead, there's really just one thing you can do. Get me that silphium resin. I'm going to have another patient in here soon. Could be in the next day, or in the next hour. And I will not allow this to happen again. I don't care how you get it, but you have to make it happen. Because if I lose another patient this way, I swear to the gods below, not even the golden rule will stop me from marching up to that genetricum fututo and scratching his eyes out.
Can't say I blame you.
I'm Lucretia, and I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not a physician. This is Nevia's clinic. I've just been filling in ever since she disappeared. I'm tired and out of my depth and miserable all the time. But I'd rather take this on myself than let one of you lot mess it up.
Fair enough.
My husband and I moved to Rome from Caesarea. He embraced the Roman way more than I would have liked, and turned into an awful philanderer. I would have divorced him and demanded the return of my dowry, but I knew he would sooner have me killed than give me my right. So I waited for the right time to take what was mine and disappear. And then the fires came. As he prepared to evacuate our villa, I gathered our most precious belongings, coins and gemstones, and the moment his back was turned, I ran. I could barely see for the smoke, and the streets were full of people trampling each other. I ran for the river, like everyone else, and leapt in. The next thing I remember, I was waking up on a riverbank, not far from here. It's all right. Say what you will about this place. At least my fornicating husband will never find me. And while there's no shortage of snakes here, at least with the golden rule, they have to try to be discreet about it. Oh, this shrine was in use as a clinic long before any of us arrived here. Kind of strange to set up a clinic in the temple of the god of disease. But the god who inflicts a curse is also the only god who can undo it. So I suppose praying to Apollo for healing kind of makes sense. Well, she used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not a physician, but she was the closest thing we had down here. And she was good too, until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day she told me she'd made some profound discovery about the golden statues. This changes everything, she kept saying, but I had no idea what she was talking about. The last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside, and nobody's seen her since. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to something so strange that she doesn't want anyone else to know about it. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of solving a troubling problem, a real thorn in the paw situation. One of my patients is suffering from terrible rheumatism. His joints are inflamed and he's in constant pain. I really shouldn't say. He wouldn't like it. And he's a little bit scary. He's become so irritable that the smallest things set him off, and I worry he'll end up losing his temper and lashing out. And you know what that means. I just know Nevia would know how to treat him, assuming she's still alive. But nobody seems to know how to get into the palace. Thanks, I suppose. I wish. Some people here need proper medical care, not the half-baked, hanging by a thread excuse for treatment I'm giving them. Just don't get sick or injured here. I'll do my best to treat you, but I'm out of my depth and dangerously short on everything you can imagine. A city without sin might sound good on paper, but whoever dreamt it up didn't think it through. Maybe it was an attempt to create some kind of utopia. But snakes like Decius will always find loopholes to exploit. And what can we do about it? Absolutely nothing. In some ways, we are worse off because we can't take the law into our own hands. Oh no. Sorry. I don't mean to worry you, but no, that
You're
is
old, you're just crazy,
normal.
that's all.
There was one other person who claimed she could hear the statues talking to her. But that was Nevia, and she went a little mad. Well, she used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not a physician, but she was the closest thing we had down here. And she was good, too, until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day she told me she'd made some profound discovery about the golden statues. This changes everything, she kept saying. But I had no idea what she was talking about. The last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside, and nobody's seen her since. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to something so strange that she doesn't want anyone else to know about it. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of solving a troubling problem. One of my patients... Thanks. Well, come back if you get sick or injured. Day or night, I'll do what I can.
Wonder how much one of these statues is worth on the outside. Salve,
Hello,
stranger,
rat boy.
and welcome to our idyllic little slice of the Empire. I'm Dacius.
You've got a punchable
Terrible
face.
shame what happened to Yulia, but we just have to carry on, don't we? Certainly. All I ask is a reasonable price of 1,000 denarii. That's hardly my concern. But if you get a job, work hard and save your coins, you should be able to afford it within, say, 5 years? Oh, it's perfectly legal. Simply a question of supply and demand, I'm afraid. Take it or leave it. Hear what? You sure you're feeling all right? If you're hearing things, perhaps you should pay a visit to Lucretia's clinic. We don't want another Navia on our hands. She claimed the statues were whispering to her. Nobody else could hear it. Then she shut herself in the palace and we never heard from her again. But I digress. Do you want this silphium or not? Very well. Perhaps I can interest you in something within your budget? You mean, how did I end up here? That is a lengthy tale. All right. Well, you see, I'm in the business of procuring rare and precious objects liberated from the enemies of Rome.
Yeah, stealing, yeah, okay.
Sculptures, vases, the occasional slave, fetch a magnificent price in Roman high society. Had myself a nice little shop in Rome, just off the Forum. Lots of foot traffic and close to the docks. Good place to be when the fires broke out. See, about 7 months ago, half of Rome caught on fire. Everyone who couldn't get to an outer gate was running for the river, hoping to escape by barge. So I gathered my coins and some priceless vases into a cart and had my most loyal slave girl, pretty young thing named Acantha, push it for me. All the way down to the river, I'm elbowing for a stampede of people, turning back now and then to make sure she hasn't legged it with my valuables. But, to my surprise, we make it, and I see this barge loading up, and it's so full it's almost sinking. But the captain's happy to take my coin, so I start boarding, and then he puts his hand on my chest and he says, "No, too heavy. The cart or the girl." So I did what anyone would have done.
Chose the cart.
Of course I chose the cart. I mean, I can always buy a new slave girl if I still have my money.
No,
So
you're a scumbag.
And I guess she realised what was happening because those pretty black eyes of hers go all wide. And in one swift motion, she topples the whole bloody thing into the Tiiime. Naturally, I dived in after it, hoping to salvage my fortune. Only, I guess I must have hit my head or something, because everything went black. When I came to, I'd washed up on the riverbank, not far from here, with nothing in the world but a single silver coin. I couldn't agree more. I mean, sure, I'd lost a few thousand denarii, but I've already made it back, and this place is a veritable treasure trove.
He completely doesn't get nuance, does he?
Gold in here than in the treasury of Rome. If I could just figure out how to get it out of here. I'm afraid not. If you're desperate, I did hear that Aurelia down at the tavern claims to know of a way out, but I'm not sure I trust her. Some people here are a little shady for my liking.
Oh, really? Really? I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, gotta watch out. Old Dacius has got your back, though. It's terrible for inflation, is what it is. There's so much gold just lying around, it's practically worthless. At least down here. Of course, I have an idea for generating real wealth, but what I need is a bow. Just a simple composite bow. I've scoured this city from top to bottom with no luck. But if you happen to find one, bring it to me and we'll talk. Oh, well, technically yes, but that just means you'll need to be a little discreet. Thank you, friend. Malleolus. I mean, Sentius couldn't even keep his daughter safe. What hope does he have of protecting us? Certainly.
Can't do anything
Very well.
like that yet.
Another time.
For the last time, Dacius, I'm not making you a bow.
But why?
You know why.
But how am I going to defend myself against such a weapon?
There are no other weapons in the city. We all went along with the magistrate's weapons ban, so it wouldn't be an issue.
Greetings and salutations. Greetings. I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst.
Giorgio, but
We
my
must
friends call
stick
me
together,
Giorgio.
you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India, and never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know, from which exotic part of the world do you hail? Then you are an explorer, like me. Wonderful. You must have many stories to share. I cannot wait to hear them. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now, do you require assistance? I know you do not require clothing, so information perhaps?
Yes.
My story? How kind of you to ask. I am a tailor and I run the humble shop in the forum. You mean to say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden Rule, and so few customers, why bother setting shop at all? I'll tell you, it is precisely because of the Golden Rule that I wish to remind my friends of the importance of looking one's best. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here, the more we can preserve a semblance of normality, the better our chances of keeping our heads. Don't you agree? Oh, and there is another reason too. If we all end up as golden statues for future generations to marvel at, I don't know about you, but I would like to look my best. A good question. A very good question indeed. And I would be happy to tell you if only I could remember it clearly myself. I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary selection of wares, and droning in coin, I decided to celebrate my success. I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine money could buy. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than once, but none of that compares to this. This time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation, gasping for air, and then nothing. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber, gods know how many miles from my villa. Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. I believe it kept me afloat. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered that trapdoor temple. And here I am.
Magic.
Anything you like. Shh! Not so loud! What are you playing at? Have you not been told about the last attempt? Oh, then I suppose this duty falls to me. It is a long story. Of course, the first question any of us asks when we first arrive is, how do I escape? It is only natural after all. And scaling the chasm wall is out of the question, for it is simply too steep and too far. But as they say, if the wind fails, use the oars. And here the second option is to leave the way we came in, through the shaft above the bathhouse. See, the shaft is quite high, but if one gathered up enough wood, one could make a series of ladders and climb one's way out. They have. I am getting to that. There was an attempt, made by resourceful fellows who lived here some years ago. They even decided to keep records of their escape attempt for posterity. Unfortunately, as soon as they began to carry the first ladder down the hallway, they heard a godlike voice shake the entire city, and that, tragically, is where their tale ends. So it seems that to merely attempt escape is to invite the wrath of whichever god oversees this place. And so I say, It is best to not even discuss it aloud. Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. As a Greek, this is nothing new to me. It is how our gods operate. Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this dreadful lesson when he abducted Persephone and imprisoned her in the underworld. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, she did not punish Hades, the guilty.
No, yeah, she punished everyone by
she changed the climate of Earth
turning everything
so
into
that
winter.
it became hot and dry. Nothing grew.
Oh, all the way
the
around.
grain turned to empty husks and the rivers dried up. Innocent people died by the tens of thousands until at last the other gods were forced to act, lest they have no worshippers left. So yes, we know this rule. This has always been the case. The Golden Rule has merely brought it into focus. If we are to survive, I say we must each keep the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus, first of the 7 sages of Greece, who said, "Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing." It does, doesn't it? But it is not enough for us to do this alone. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never be enough. Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be undone in the blink of an eye by a single selfish act. Ah, the voice of experience. I am sorry for your loss, my friend. But on a lighter note, I will say one thing for the Golden Rule. For all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for my clothing, do they not? That, my friend, is quite the dilemma. But after some reflection, I'm leaning toward voting for Malleolus. I do not enjoy the thought of another visit from Domitius if I voted the wrong way. Nothing comes to my mind, my friend.
Okay.
I hope that our paths cross again soon, my friend.
Oh, what a pleasant man.
Make sure you stay away from that empty shrine. It's going to collapse at any moment. Ah, a new face. Salve, and welcome to a little community. My name's impossible to pronounce for most people, so you can just call me Virgil. You arrived on a sad day, friend. What with Julia's death? I wish we could have met under better circumstances. Well, I'm an architect. Or at least I was back in Rome. That's probably too grandiose a term to describe what I do here. Help out with repairs and try to stop old buildings from collapsing on people, that kind of thing. But you probably don't want to hear about the ingenious architecture or mysterious history of this place. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Some of these shrines were constructed hundreds of years ago, which means Romans have been arriving here for at least that long. But there's one thing that puzzles me. The oldest shrine in this avenue isn't Roman at all. It's Greek. Well, yes, that could be the reason. Or it could mean that there were Greeks living and worshipping here before the Romans arrived. Which begs the interesting question, who really built this place? And could it be far older than any of us imagine? If only there was a way we could talk to the people who came here before us. The stories they could tell. Gladly. Personally, my favorite thing about this place is the aqueducts. Those series of adjoining arches. They're an ingenious feat of Roman engineering with a very practical purpose. They take fresh water coming from outside the city and distribute it all across the chasm. It's funneled below the palace and into a cistern beneath the great temple. Some of it flows down into another cistern beneath the villas, and the rest is funneled to the shrine of Proserpina, where it fills the lake and allows us to fish and farm. Hey, not so loud. Just talking about that could anger the gods for all we know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but we'd have to find a way inside somehow. Just, please, try to be a bit more discreet about it. You mean the Great Temple? This one's a bit of a mystery. Given the way it's positioned so prominently, looking down on us, it's clear that whoever built it felt it was the most important temple in the city. Unfortunately, someone else went out of their way to keep its purpose a mystery. You see, usually a temple is dedicated to a particular god, like Proserpina or Diana or Apollo. Usually, that god is obvious. But in this case, it's unknown. There's an obelisk out the front, which probably used to bear the name of this unknown god. But it appears some barbarian defaced it. And of course we can't get inside because it's locked up tighter than the Temple of Saturn in Rome. And that contains the treasury. So we're all left wondering, which god is that temple dedicated to? And could it be the one responsible for the Golden Rule? Unless somebody figures out a way inside, I suppose we'll never know.
I'll never know.
Of course. You wouldn't believe how often the new ones ask that question. But I'd tell you the same thing I tell everyone else. There are much worse places to live out your days. You might have a few sleepless nights thinking about the Golden Rule. But once you get used to the fear, knowing that a single slip-up could cost you everything, it's not too bad. Nothing new to me, anyway. Oh, I just mean I grew up in the Batavi tribe, far to the north in Noviomagus, and learned to expect a bit of hostility. They weren't nearly as tolerant as the Romans. Some people say it's divine, the work of a god, but I'm not so sure. It just seems so flawed to me. Like it's distinctly human. I mean, once you've been here long enough, you'll notice people doing things that just seem so wrong to you. But this so-called god doesn't seem to care, which means one of two things. Either you don't know the difference between right and wrong, or this unknown god doesn't. And I'm pretty sure I know the difference. Do you? Good.
I think I do.
Then I hope you'll agree that there are only two ways of dealing with unfair rulers. The first is to leave. The second is to remove the ruler from power. And it seems leaving may not be an option. Good question. It's best if I say no more, but I hope you'll give it some thought. Look, I haven't done anything wrong, if that's what you're thinking. Somebody just has a problem with my preference for male company. Hey, nothing gets by you, huh? Sorry, that was mean. Yes, I like men. And when you grow up in the north, as I did, in the city of Noviomagus, you expect a bit of hostility. The Batavi are not known for their tolerance. I saw enough friends killed or driven away to know the cost of not keeping your personal affairs to yourself. So I hid who I was for, what was it, nearly 10 years? Watching what I said and where I looked. But that kind of fear eats away at you slowly, until living isn't any better than the thing you were afraid of. Needless to say, since I'm now living underground, halfway across the known world, with an assumed name, my openness didn't go down well among the enlightened folk of the Batavi. Nice of you to say, but not necessary. In any case, the Romans are far more accepting, and among them, I get to be who I am. Or at least, I thought that was the case. It seems I was wrong. It's not just graffiti. I have quite a collection of handwritten notes too. The strange thing is, I keep my personal affairs to myself. I've never really been interested in any of the men here. Not my type. So I'm not sure what I could have done to upset this person. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably one of those cultists. Strange bunch. They insist there's only one god, and that he considers my nature a sin. Can you believe that? If there are any of them here, they won't admit it. Not since they supposedly burnt down half of Rome last year and went into hiding. All I know is, if these threats keep escalating, eventually my secret admirer is going to cross a line and break the golden rule. What? Really? I didn't expect that. But thanks. It's always a pleasure to meet someone so selfless. I'm glad you arrived when you did. I'd start by figuring out who the cultists are. Or maybe ask around among the merchants here. Someone who lives or works in the forum must have seen something. But if you find them, please don't hurt or humiliate them. I suspect they're just confused. Nice to talk to you.
Hello? Hello? My name's Dooley. I live here now because I got in trouble and they said they had to lock me up. I don't know. I don't remember things so good. I think it's just because I was looking for treasure. Yes, but I wasn't. I was just looking. They said I did it more than once, but I can't remember things so good. Then they called me mean names. They called me a liar, Billy. Yes. They said I have to live here now, and gave me this letter. But I'm not good with words. Do you think you could read it for me?
Oh, Jesus. Magistrate Sentius to Dulius, I'm writing to you in relation to your incorrigible and antisocial behaviour arising from your obsession with an alleged lost treasure. While I am sympathetic to your plight and the passing of your guardian Hannibal some weeks ago, I wish to impress upon you the important message. The treasure you seek does not exist. Given your memory limitations, it seems likely you simply misremembered. More importantly, since you have on several occasions been caught trespassing, including around the cisterns which are strictly off limits to all citizens, I have reluctantly come to the conclusion that you are a liability to this community and must have your freedom limited lest you break the golden rule. It is my hope that this letter will assist you to remember why you are incarcerated should you experience further lapses in memory.
What does it say? My treasure! My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But then, he died. It was very sad. He said, if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns, but when I went up to the high one, they put me in here. Now nobody looks after me, except my friend Galerius and Ek, the priestess lady. She's a nice lady. Hannibal said I shouldn't give it to anyone I didn't trust. But maybe you could help me get out of here. Then I would trust you a lot. Galerius already tried that. He said the magistrate wouldn't listen, no matter what. What about the rules? I don't want everyone to get in trouble because I was bad. Like Galerius. He's nice. I like Galerius. He made me a doll and everything. If you help make him magistrate, he can get me out of here, and I can give you the key to my treasure. Hannibal said it was in the cisterns. I can't remember what it was, just that it was way up high, and very precious. You're going to let me out of here? Really? Galerius already tried that. And bye-bye.
You look well, my sartorial friend.
Don't steal anything, don't hurt anyone, don't. Whoever wrote this didn't get a chance to finish, evidently.
Galerius?
Horatius?
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls. But it does not notice the crowds that come. The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives. They never do.
I suppose you're right.
You think you wish to know, but you do not. It is better for you if you remain ignorant. Pandora's box must stay closed. I'll say no more. The newly arrived are ignorant of the road before them. Cerberus lifts his triple head
Fear
and
is
lets out
proof of a
his three
degenerate
claws,
mind.
praying.
Better watch your
Livia,
step.
would you stop muttering like
Can't
the deer
talk
over a
long.
cauldron?
Got to
You'll
stay
scare
sharp,
away my
but,
customers.
Families from Solution on Tiiiime.
Traits,
Babylon
imitating their
province.
previous lives, but they
Strange that we're looking
Been
straight at your
all
head.
time now.
This again.
Even joined the legions.
You're in a world of your
The
own,
sixth.
aren't you?
The one they call Ironclads. Same way as everyone else. Because we're all in grave danger. Is it not obvious? Magistrate made me toss it in the chasm. Stupid. Going to have to improvise now. If you were dealing with what I am, you wouldn't be either. Nobody is supposed to know about that. Did Lucretia tell you? Gah. Look, I haven't been at my best lately. All my joints ache constantly, and the pain. It has a way of messing with your head. I get stirred up by things that shouldn't bother me, and then there's the statues, and my doubts about my faith. And I just want to scream. You want to help me? Do what Lucretia hasn't been able to do. And find me something to make the pain go away. Until then, get out of my face.
Ah, it's you again. Hope you're settling in, friend. Now, what's on your mind? Well, it's a long one, and kind of sad, but I don't mind telling it. I'm a farmer. Always have been. I grew up in a small village in Britannia, Camulodunum, with my parents and 2 little sisters. Lovely part of the world. One day, when I was about 20, my father and I were in the top paddock, loading our cart, when some Roman legionaries came along, demanding produce for their men. My father told me to run into the house for his axe, and so I did. I sprinted so fast I almost threw up, but by the time I got back, he was bleeding out on the ground, and our cart was empty. That was my first encounter with the legions. My mother died of a broken heart soon after, and things went downhill from there. I took over the farmstead, but I was young, and it was a struggle. More raiding started before too long. We'd come outside in the morning to find animals missing, our stores pillaged. These Legion thugs just took whatever they wanted. One night, when my sisters and I had nothing left to steal, there was a knock at the door. I knew who they were, and what they wanted. I got my father's old axe, pulled the door open real quick, and before that soldier knew it, split his face right down the middle.
Ooh.
But there were more of them. I never saw how many, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up with a mouth full of dirt and lungs full of smoke. My home was reduced to ash. My sisters, dead. And they left me alive to see what they'd done. Still burns whenever I think about it. Yeah, well, I wasn't the only one this happened to. It wasn't long before Boudica led thousands of Britons in a rebellion against the Romans. Unfortunately, there were just too many of them. And those of us who survived, they enslaved. So, then I found myself being transported all the way to Rome to be sold to the highest bidder. I spent a few years working for my new master, learning the Romans' ways, Romanized my name and everything. Tried to escape a couple of times, but they always found me, and I'd just end up right back where I was. I'd probably still be there too, if it wasn't for the stampedes breaking out. You see, about 7 months ago, an enormous fire broke out in Rome. Everybody was running down toward the river, screaming and shouting. I'd never seen anything like it. Human beings acting like cattle. I got swept up with them somehow, and the rest is a blur. The next thing I knew, some stranger was dragging me out of a river. Stumbled across this place, and I started my life over again. That's what I thought too, for a while. But it seems the gods aren't done tormenting me yet. See, I finally had my own farm again, safe from the grasping hands of the Romans. Or so I thought. Until Sentius the Decurion demanded I hand over all my produce. It's for the good of us all, he says. Only he takes the best bits for himself, of course. He even told me if I refuse his demands, I'll break the golden rule. I'm not sure I believe him, but then, what if he's right? So, it turns out our dear old magistrate is no better than the Legion thugs who took everything from me. And I'm right back where I began. But don't you worry, Nemesis is waiting. And he'll get his, one day. He'll get his. Forget I said that last part, will you? I get carried away sometimes. Thanks, friend. I knew I liked you. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Was there something else you wanted to talk about? I can't see how I could vote for either candidate. I don't like Sentius much, but Malleolus is almost as bad. Even I could do a better job. Me, a farmer. And I've never given a speech or put on a toga in my life. I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on and win. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. And that's good enough for me. And how could you know that? I mean, I don't like the man, but I don't see how you could know a thing like that. Well, in that case, we need to find a way to make sure Malleolus loses. Better yet, get him to withdraw altogether. If you can do that, and Sentius is the only candidate left, I'll run against him. Deal?
Oh, you're here. I'm so glad you decided to visit. I'm Aurelia, and I hope I'm not being too forward, but The moment I laid eyes on you, I was intrigued. There's a light in your eyes I've never seen before. A certain learning and sophistication. What was that? Some kind of joke? If it was, it wasn't funny. I take back what I said. Suddenly, I don't find you so intriguing anymore. Let's just forget that ever happened, so we can at least do business. So, what brings you to my tavern? Ugh, let it go. Nothing's going to happen between us. Certainly, for 10 denarii. Whatever you like. Ugh, let it go. All right, see ya.
Let me just check something. Unless she doesn't actually do anything. I'll caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware.
Help! You have to do something! A man arrived in the baths. A real nasty sort, with his face all covered up. And he's got a weapon. You have to do something, or he's gonna break the golden rule. Are you daft or just callous?
There's a reason for this. It sounds horrible what I'm going to do.
We're all going to die. Ugh. The shrine is collapsing.
Well, that may come across as harsh, but you kind of need to do that in order for this to happen, which you'll see in a minute. If I even go to the next day, which I probably won't, so you have to see it next time.
Stop
maybe.
right there. I am looking for Tiberius Quinctius Crispus, otherwise known as Quinctius. Do you know where he is? I'm not sure I believe that, so allow me to explain something to you. I am here with orders from Emperor Nero himself to find and execute the cultist Quinctius for terrible crimes against the Empire. So, if you tell me the truth, I will allow you to live. But if you lie to me or otherwise obstruct the Emperor's business in any way, I will put this arrow through your chest. Is that understood? Thank you. Now tell me, who are you people, and what is this place? A small community. Ha! I was told Quinctius was a cultist, but I never thought he'd be foolish enough to lead me right to the heart of his mystery cult. You say that. If
Doesn't
you're
matter
not
what
a
you
cult,
say.
then why go to such great lengths to keep this place a secret? So you admit you're not allowed to leave. You're a terrible liar, so none of you are allowed to leave. Fascinating. That sounds an awful lot like a cult to me. And I saw the inscription saying, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." I take it this is some kind of mantra you all believe? Another lie. So you really do believe that? Fascinating. You've clearly been indoctrinated into this nonsense. Now tell me, where did you lot get enough gold to make all these statues? You lot are practicing human sacrifice too. You people disgust me.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
It didn't, That's because I didn't get there quick enough. But we were meant to get him to shoot us, and we were going to start this anyway. What's happened is the something to do the election's not gone very well, and someone killed someone. So you've got a time limit based on how long you have to get in and out. Oh crap! Right, come on, come out of there. Thank you. Move that money out of there. Oh no. Oh, get stuck. There we go. There we go, that's day 2, so I'm going to leave it there, and I'll continue next time. So thank you for watching, I'll see you then, bye bye.